For more on President Xi's visit to Moscow, we turn to Einar Tangen in Beijing. He's a senior fellow at the Taihe Institute and the founder of the Asia Narratives Substack. Einar, great having you. How is Xi Jinping being received in Moscow?
Well, Diego, very well. I mean, what it signals is this is Trump's attempt to impose a new world order, and unfortunately, it's for America, it's faltering. Xi Jinping's visit to Moscow is in remembrance of the Russian-Chinese sacrifices during World War II, but also underlines the resistance to Washington's kind of unipolar vision. And from a U.S. perspective, it's concerns about a united front against Washington's attempt to impose this new global order. The U.S. interprets Xi's diplomatic activities through the lens of strategic competition, viewing them as an attempt to counter Washington's imposition of a new political and economic order. They're seen as similar to Xi's visits to Southeast Asia and other regions, which Washington perceives as moves to maintain the existing economic and political order. Washington's main narrative, ironically, is that China supports revisionist powers. Russia also has its perspective, as does China.
And Einar, what do you expect to change in the bilateral relationship after this trip, obviously?
Well, Diego, I mean, the visit is crucial for solidifying the strategic partnership with China from Russia's perspective, particularly in the face of Western sanctions and diplomatic isolation. These visits are, mutual support. It's about a shared vision for a multipolar world. Emphasis on economic benefits of the relationship, highlighting increased trade, investment, and energy cooperation. Politically, Russia values China's support in international forums and its willingness to challenge U.S. unilateralism. Both share an opposition to U.S. attempts to impose a global tributary system. From a Chinese perspective, it's a promotion of multipolar reality and the principles of security, development, and civilization initiatives that Xi Jinping often talks about. It's resisting unilateralism, emphasis on mutual benefits and cooperation based on win-win. Expect the signing of numerous agreements on trade, investment, and infrastructure development. Xi's aims are to build stronger relationships with key countries and advance China's vision for global governance. In the background, we have the situation with Ukraine and also the upcoming talks about how China and the U.S. can resolve this tariff issue.
And Einar, should we expect new areas of cooperation?
Yes, I think it's not so much new as enhanced. There have already been kind of all-around, all-weather cooperation, no limits, etc. But this is just furthering that, and that's why it's so important that there will be agreements signed, not talk, not frameworks, but actual agreements that will be put in place. The amount of trade between U.S. and Russia has increased dramatically, and it's an area where, because it's a land border controlled by the two of them, it cannot be interfered with by outside entities.
And Einar, how may China's recent economic stimulus impact other countries like Russia?
Well, I mean, right now, it's the main hope, not only for China and Russia, but the globe. As the U.S. retreats, China is opening up. As the U.S. put up barriers, China is reducing them. It's been very clear that China wants to have a civilized dialogue, which is about, treating each other equally and with respect, and sending out very, very clear messages. The 6-point white paper mentioned a phase 1, and then there's the unilateral dropping of tariffs on certain types of advanced equipment and chemicals. This is the signal to Washington that, look, let's de-escalate. Let's sit down. Let's figure out what America needs and what the world also needs and how these can be put together.
And what do you expect next among the two countries?
Well, Diego, I mean, it's going to be a long process. Trade negotiations generally take 18 months to figure out. You have to get all the bits and pieces together legally, and then they take even longer to implement. So right now, it's a question of both sides sitting down and realizing that they need each other and I don't mean just China and the U.S., but the U.S. and the rest of the world. You know, this salvo of firing off tariffs against 180 countries, including the Penguins, can never forget them, was a sign that the U.S. was being unrealistic. It's now time to get down to brass tacks, acknowledge that it was Trump made a bluff, it didn't work, and now, for the sake of American public, they need to come to terms that are acceptable to all concerned.
Einar Tangen, thank you so much. Great having you.
Thank you.